Hello, friends. We live in a world where science has made extraordinary leaps. Our understanding of the universe, the Earth's shape, and the forces that govern everything is more advanced than ever. But still, there's a shocking belief that persists. The Earth is flat. Now, I know what you're thinking. Who could possibly believe this in 2025? Well, brace yourselves. 10% of Americans, 3% of people in the UK, and even 7% in Brazil still believe that our planet is not a sphere, but a flat disk. So let's break it down. Why are so many people still holding on to this belief? And what if, just what if, they were right? Let's first explore how this bizarre theory started. The flat Earth belief dates back centuries, but in today's modern world, why does it still have a following? Let's take a look at a figure that brought the flat Earth theory back into the public eye: Mike Hughes. Mike Hughes, a 46-year-old limousine driver from America, became famous for attempting daredevil stunts, like jumping a 130-foot-long stretch of road in a limousine. But his most infamous stunt wasn't about jumping limos. It was his attempt to prove the Earth was flat by launching himself in a homemade rocket. In 2018, he soared 1,800 feet into the air powered by a steam rocket. But what really captured attention was his reason for the stunt. Hughes said he didn't believe in modern science. He didn't trust what he was taught in schools or what NASA claimed. Instead, he said, "I believe only what I see with my own eyes." He went on to declare that his mission was to prove that the Earth was flat, and if you crossed Antarctica's icy boundary, you'd fall off the edge of the world. At first, this sounded insane, but his reasoning found a receptive audience in the flat Earth community. For them, Hughes was a hero, a maverick challenging the globalist narrative. And what's even more shocking is that his campaign for donations to fund his rocket project pulled in thousands of dollars from people who believed in his cause. Mike Hughes isn't alone. Many people believe in this theory, despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary. But why does this belief persist in a world where we have satellites, space stations, and photos of Earth taken from the moon? Here's the truth. Flat Earth believers aren't uneducated. In fact, many of them are quite literate and educated. They've watched videos on YouTube, read books, and they actively reject mainstream science. But they don't just believe it for fun. There's a psychology at play here, one that makes them convinced their view is the correct one. So, let's explore why this theory is still out there. To understand the belief itself, we first need to look at the model flat earthers propose. They claim that Earth is not a spinning sphere, but instead a flat disk. According to their theory, Antarctica is a giant ice wall surrounding the Earth, preventing the oceans from spilling off the edge. They argue that space travel and pictures from space are all part of a grand conspiracy. If that doesn't sound wild enough, they believe the sun and the moon are small objects circling the Earth in a spotlight-like manner, creating the day-night cycle. In the flat Earth model, the sun is only 50 kilometers in diameter and circles the Earth at an altitude of just 5,500 kilometers, which is far closer than the 150 million kilometers that science tells us. They also argue that moonlight is cold, a bizarre claim that completely ignores physics. But how do these people justify this when the evidence for a spherical Earth is overwhelming? Let's take a quick trip through history. Thousands of years ago, ancient thinkers like Pythagoras and Aristotle noticed the moon's round shape and realized that Earth must be spherical too. But it wasn't until Eratosthenes in 200 BC that the first scientific experiment proved the Earth was round. Using two sticks placed miles apart in Egypt, he measured the angle of the sun's rays and calculated the Earth's circumference, accurately estimating it to be 40,075 kilometers, which is pretty close to the current measurement. Fast forward to today, and we have a myriad of evidence: satellite imagery, circumnavigation of the globe, space exploration, and much more. Yet the flat Earth community refuses to accept this. Why? Because they rely on what they can see with their eyes. The Earth looks flat when you stand on it, so they think that's the truth. They ignore the fact that the Earth is so large that its curvature is imperceptible to the naked eye. Let's break down 4 key psychological factors that keep the flat Earth theory alive. Convenience. Flat Earth theory offers a simple, easy-to-understand explanation. It's tempting to believe something that feels intuitive, even if it's wrong. For example, Flat earthers reject complex science and instead say, "I believe what I can see with my own eyes." Intuition over science. Many flat earthers trust their own observations over scientific evidence. When they look at the horizon, it seems flat. They feel that's all the proof they need. But this ignores how light bends and the limitations of human perception. Lack of critical thinking. Some people just don't engage in deep, critical thinking. They accept the first explanation that fits their worldview. Critical thinking requires questioning everything, looking for alternative explanations, and considering all the facts, things that many flat earthers don't do. Mistrust of authorities. Flat earthers are deeply skeptical of governments, scientists, and institutions. They believe that everyone from NASA to the educational system is part of a global conspiracy to hide the truth. Ironically, this mistrust leads them to embrace pseudoscience. Now let's entertain the idea. What if they are right? What if the Earth is flat? Well, this would shake the foundations of modern science. It would mean that everything we know about physics, astronomy, and space travel is wrong. Gravity, or even the very laws of motion, would need to be rewritten. However, science thrives on evidence, and the overwhelming evidence points to a spherical Earth. From the shape of the Earth's shadow during a lunar eclipse to the ability to circumnavigate the globe, it's clear that we live on a planet that's round, so why does 10% of America believe the Earth is flat? It's a mix of psychology, intuition, convenience, and a deep mistrust of authority. It's a belief that refuses to fade, despite the overwhelming evidence against it. The truth is, people who believe in such theories are not necessarily stupid. They're victims of misinformation and cognitive biases. But the more we engage, educate, and question, the more we can help them break free from these fallacies. At the end of the day, science isn't about believing what you want. It's about seeking truth through evidence, exploration, and critical thought. So next time someone tells you the Earth is flat, be sure to share what you've learned here and ask them, what evidence do you have? Thank you for watching, friends. If you liked this video, be sure to check out the one about the moon landing conspiracy, where I dive deep into that topic. Trust me, you don't want to miss it.